Welcome to another installment of the No BS review series, where there will be no filler or BS of any kind, just the information you want to know about this vehicle. Thank you to my members for helping support this content. Today we'll be looking at the T-80U-E1, a rank 7, battle rating 11.7 pack premium main battle tank in the Soviet tech tree. This pack costs $70 and comes with 20 days of premium and 2,500 golden eagles. This vehicle is overall very similar to the tech tree T-80U, with the biggest difference being, aside from the camo net, an extra piece of Contact 5 explosive reactive armor on the front of the turret, which significantly shrinks the size of its infamous gun breech weak spot, though it is also 1 ton heavier. Speaking of weak spots, being a T-80, this vehicle is extremely well protected, with its turret cheeks being immune to pretty much any kinetic rounds you might encounter. Unlike some Western tanks around this BR, its hull armor will reliably stop most top-tier kinetic penetrators also. The only reliable weak spots are around the gun breech, the lower front plate, and of course the infamous driver's port weak spot. Looking at protection against chemical penetrators, this vehicle's armor will stop pretty much any sort of barrel-launched TDFS you might encounter, or ATGMs that aren't comically large. Looking at side protection, the T-80U-E1 has quite heavy protection on the side of its turret, and its hull is strong enough to resist some lighter heat warheads and autocannon fire, especially the front part, which is covered by ERA. To show you just how potent this armor can be, I want to show you an example where I'm able to survive a frontal attack against 2 enemy main battle tanks, including a Leopard 2A7, whose DM53 round sports over 650mm of flat pen. Instead of reversing out of there by pushing directly at them and zigzagging, it's going to be much more difficult for them to hit any of my weak spots. Though my aim isn't the best in this clip, by keeping up my return fire, I'm eventually able to win this engagement despite being at a huge firepower disadvantage. While it may have outstanding armor protection, in the firepower department, the T-80U-E1 falls a little bit behind. Its main round, the BM46, with its maximum flat pen of 532mm, is nearly 100mm behind the M829A2 round found on the M1A1 Clickbait, this vehicle's American counterpart. It also falls short in terms of gun handling, with an autoloading speed of 6.5 seconds, slower than the aced reload speed of basically every top-tier MBT that doesn't have a T-72-derived autoloader. It's also blessed with the characteristic bad gun depression most Soviet tanks have, with only 5 degrees. However, its turret is constructed with a slight forward tilt, so you should get a bit more than that in practice. Looking at mobility, the T-80U-E1 has an extremely respectable 43 mph top speed, as well as an excellent power-to-weight ratio of 26.6 horsepower per ton. This means this vehicle will have absolutely no problem flanking and rushing early in the game. The only downside is, of course, the reverse gear, which only grants it a 6.8 mph top speed in reverse. To be charitable though, this is significantly better than the T-72 derived vehicles, which can manage less than half of that. In terms of lineups, you have no less than 3 other 11.7 main battle tanks that you can bring out alongside this thing. Looking at support vehicles, there are no 11.7s, but there are a number of light tanks and SPAs from lower battle ratings that will work just fine in their respective roles. As for CAS options, you have a ton of them, with pretty much any aircraft with KH-25MLs or KH-29s, or any helicopters with Attakas or Vikers being a good option for close air support. Basically, just play around with them and pick your favorite. Due to being excellent in terms of both mobility and survivability, the T-80U-E1 is great in pretty much any role you can imagine, other than of course long-range gun dueling, where its slower reload, below average penetration, and bad gun depression will put it at a significant disadvantage against some of its competitors. I tended to get my best results in this vehicle by using it as an aggressive flanker, using my speed to rush into position where I can attack the enemy team from the side as they attempt to take the objective, and relying on my survivability to make me a very persistent nuisance. Comparing the T-80U-E1 to its chief rivals, the Leo 2E4M and the Clickbait, you may notice that this vehicle is significantly worse in terms of firepower than the other two. However, it has the best mobility of all 3, if you don't take the bad reverse speed into account of course, and is the only one of these 3 vehicles with hull armor strong enough to reliably protect against top-tier dart rounds. This vehicle is going to make me eat my words a bit on something I said on a previous review. While I still think firepower is the most important single factor for performance of top-tier MBTs, this vehicle's survivability is actually good enough that I think it sufficiently compensates for its below-average firepower. I found myself doing well in this thing very often, with it being very easy to score around 3 kills per match without issue. On the flip side though, I found myself having fewer games where my performance was truly exceptional, with your compromised firepower and gun handling being the limiting factor on how many kills you can get per match. That being said, I think this is still a great vehicle overall, and its very reliable protection makes it far more forgiving than the high-tier premiums of other tech trees, which makes it a particularly good option for beginners. Overall, I rate this thing a solid 8 out of 10. It's not an absolutely outstanding vehicle, but it's good and can perform well very reliably, which I think makes it quite a decent pickup if you're willing to spend the money. Anyways, that's going to wrap it up for this one, guys. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the playlist in the description for more vehicle reviews like this one, and I'll see you guys in the next one.